Women in the village of Mardan apply a special type of oil on the sensitive parts of their bodies before marriage so that they do not have any kind of pain on the first night of marriage. Knowing what that oil is will make you stand up in awe. It was my first time in this area, so I had no idea about the customs here. But one thing that impressed me was the sincerity of the people here. They were very sincere and extremely hospitable. From yesterday till now, they had treated me so well that I was feeling ashamed myself. I wanted to go back after 2 days, but these people were forcibly stopping me and saying that their wedding was starting in a day, which would last for 4 days, and after that, they would give me gifts and send me off. I had no interest in their gifts. I had no such greed in my heart. But they were insisting again and again that I should definitely attend their wedding. As much as they had taken care of me and had been hospitable to me, I could not refuse them and agreed to attend their wedding, but I did not know that attending their wedding would expose me to the reality of many of their customs and traditions. The girl who was getting married took me around the whole village. The village was undoubtedly very beautiful, and I was very happy to see it. We kept walking around the whole village till evening. I ate fresh fruits there and drank the sweet lake water. I really felt very good after coming here. In the evening, when we returned home, the mother of the bride, whose name was Gulpari, started scolding her and said that it was time for the ritual, but you were absent. This ritual has to be done for the whole week, and you are acting so lazily. Later, you will hold your head and cry and cut off our noses in the family. I was surprised to hear what they said. I could not understand that there was any such ritual that if not done, they would not cut off their family members. But I thought it was appropriate to remain silent because I was a guest here and could not ask them much questions. Gulpari's mother took her inside while scolding her and went and closed the door. After a while, I saw a woman leaving with something hidden in her hand. After entering, she had thrown everyone out and locked the door from the inside. I was wondering what kind of ritual an old woman had to perform alone. I was curious, but I couldn't express it to anyone. I started watching people working quietly. It was a wedding house, so I was busy and there was a lot of work. Despite doing so much work, there was no sign of fatigue on anyone's face. Everyone looked happy. Some girls were sitting on one side, whispering and saying, "Do you know that Gulpari's future husband is very handsome? His body is like steel, and he is very tall. He looks very strong and young. I don't know how Gulpari would be able to bear it." All of them were Gulpari's friends, and none of them were married. Even before marriage, I was filled with shame after hearing such things from their mouths. In our house, it was considered very wrong to say such things, while she was openly commenting on such things. This was a backward area. The population was low here, and there was no concept of schools, colleges, etc. Everyone was simple and uneducated. They were living their lives on their own principles. I turned my face away. I didn't want to show them that I had heard their words. Another girl said, "It's good, isn't it? Her husband is young and healthy. He will have a happy life. And what about the pain of the first night? Our elders have already come up with a cure to bear it. It is Gulpari's laziness that she is not performing this ritual properly and is going to cry on the wedding night." While I was shocked to hear such bold words, I was also eager to learn about this ritual. My heart was filled with curiosity. I was 24 years old. I was fully aware of the relationship between men and women, and I also knew that a woman has to endure pain when she has sex with a man for the first time. How is it possible that she could have relationships and not endure pain? What kind of ritual was there that could remove the feeling of pain from a woman? All these things were going on in my mind, and I was sitting completely confused. The wedding was going to start tomorrow, and would last for the next 4 days, and then on the 5th day, Gulpari would be taken away by her husband. One thing that was even more surprising was that I had never seen anyone praying or doing any other Muslim thing so far. So I was also suspecting that these people were not Muslims, and my suspicion turned out to be absolutely correct. These people were not really Muslims. Rather, they did not have any religion. This entire area was under the control of the chiefs. They used to manage it and did whatever they felt was for the betterment of the area. They were the ones who set the customs and traditions here. All the rest of the people in the town considered their words as orders, and no one had the courage to disobey their orders. Whether they were right or wrong, people blindly believed their leaders. There were some customs here that were beyond my understanding, but the people performed them wholeheartedly. These customs were mandatory in every wedding, and anyone who refused to perform the customs was severely punished, and this punishment was also decided by the chiefs here. I did not like such systems, but I did not want to make my stay difficult by speaking against these customs, so I kept quiet. As I was learning about the customs of the people here, and I was getting more and more surprised, I could not understand why they performed such customs. Different types of makeup were applied to the bride throughout the day. Everyone said that this would enhance the bride's complexion and make her look extremely beautiful. And beauty is the most important thing for any bride. We also had this idea that a girl should look beautiful before marriage, should pay attention to herself, and should use things that make her look more beautiful. But one thing that surprised me the most was that in the evening, a 60-year-old woman would come and take Gulpari into the room and close the door. Gulpari's face would turn pale just by seeing this woman. It seemed as if she wanted to refuse to perform this ritual, but could not bring herself to. I always wondered what she was doing behind closed doors. After all, what kind of ritual is there that has to be performed alone and with the door closed? One day, I saw an opportunity and secretly went and opened the window of the room and spread the curtain in front of it. This window opened towards the backyard of their house, where no one went, only dancing and singing programs were held. As soon as that old woman went into the room with Gulpari in the evening, I also turned towards the backyard so that I could go and see the reality of their ritual, but what I saw in front of me shook me. I reached the window with my feet pressed against it, and after about 10-15 minutes, I slightly pulled back the curtain, but after seeing the scene inside, the ground gave way from under my feet. Now I understood why Gulpari did not want to perform this ritual, and why her face would wither during the ritual. It was clear from her face that she did not want to perform this ritual, but was being forced to do it. Now the reality of this ritual had come before me. What kind of heinous act was being performed under the guise of performing the ritual? These people needed to be explained, but I was a guest here. I could not say anything to anyone. My only fate was to silently watch their rituals being performed. I felt sympathy for Gulpari from the bottom of my heart. After quietly straightening the curtain, I moved away from there and came and sat among the guests, but my mind was stuck on Gulpari. What kind of torture she was going through. All these people knew this, but how happily they forced her to perform the ritual. Everyone else. On the one hand, Gulpari's mother also used to force her to perform the ritual and would even scold her in front of her eyes if she resisted. 4 days had passed while performing various rituals. On the 5th day, Gulpari's face looked very beautiful. It seemed as if she had escaped some great torment. Her appearance had also come out. But the same scene still flashed before my eyes when that old woman stripped Gulpari and took her with her. I had gone to Mardan with a university trip. One day, while wandering around, all of us friends reached the shore of a prison. It was famous about this lake that whoever comes here gets lost, so everyone stayed in groups. I was also wandering with my group when my eyes fell on the beautiful flowers. These flowers were so beautiful that I forgot everything and rushed towards them. The flowers were quite far from our group. These flowers were waving high and low over the dunes, which looked very beautiful. I was lost in their charm. I did not know how much time had passed. Suddenly, I felt hungry, so I came from the direction of the flowers to the other side. Then I looked around and my heart was heavy. I had lost my way and was separated from my group. I started shouting loudly, but no one answered. I was wandering here and there, but I could not find a way anywhere. Every direction looked the same. It seemed as if I had come here running after a mirage, and now I could not find a way anywhere. The flowers were still waving with their beauty. I could see flowers in every direction, but now the fear of getting lost had overtaken every feeling. Now the flowers were not attracting me to their beauty. In a short time, evening began to fall, and then night fell, but I was tired of running and had not yet found my way. All the directions were the same. The paths were the same. I went in one direction and then ran in the other direction. I was there alone and was very worried. No one else was in sight. I climbed a high hill so that I could stand there and call someone for help. I started waving my dupatta in the wind, which had started spreading the shadows of the night over me. And even now, if I could not get out of here, I would have to spend the night here. My soul was trembling thinking about this. I started shouting louder for help and waving my dupatta, but no one heard my cries, and no one came to my aid. Fear and hunger overcame me, and I fell down, after which I lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in a comfortable bed. I started remembering all the scenes. I screamed again. Just then, the door opened, and a beautiful woman, who had tied a shawl on her head, put a cap on top, and was wearing a long shirt, entered. She was dressed like I had never seen before. That's why I became even more worried. I felt as if I had been imprisoned. When this woman saw the expression on my face, she tried to comfort me by explaining in broken Urdu that I need not worry. I should tell her my address, and she would take me safely to my house. I met her in the morning near a sand dune. More than half of my body was hidden. Only my dupatta and face were outside when she saw me. After taking me out at night, they gave me first aid and brought me here to my village, which was several kilometers away from the Valley of Flowers. I told her that I had come here with my university trip, but I had not met my friends. I was distracted because my attention was drawn to these flowers. The woman smiled and said, "Yes, those flowers are so beautiful that they captivate the viewers with their beauty. Anyone who comes here to visit is already informed about the charm of these flowers. No one goes there by mistake." Or, "No one told you that." To which I shook my head in the negative. The woman once again placed her hand on my head in a comforting manner and said, "They will take me safely to my home, but first I should get up, take a bath, and eat something." I regained consciousness 2 days later. Hearing this, I became even more worried. I remained unconscious for 2 days. The university and my family must have been searching for me everywhere. I told the woman that I need a mobile phone. She looked at me in surprise and said, "No, not a mobile phone, but the Sardarji here has a telephone at his house, on which he contacts the people of the city and sells his grain, etc. If you know how to use it, then use it to call your home. Let the people know." I immediately stood up and told the woman to take me to my Sardarji immediately. I will not feel any peace until I inform my family. But at the same time, I felt very dizzy. The woman smiled and said, "You are feeling very weak. You have not eaten or drunk anything for 2 days, so eat something first. After that, I will take you to Sardarji. You do not need to be afraid of my daughter. Rest assured, you are like our daughter. We will not let any harm come to you." Hearing this, I helplessly hugged the woman. I desperately needed someone to sympathize with me at that time. She kept saying the phrase of taking me home safely, perhaps to give me courage. I washed my face and quickly took a few bites of food and went with the woman to the Sardarji's house. The Sardarji was an elderly man. He asked the woman if she was the same girl who was found near the sand dunes. Sardarji's Urdu was also broken. Perhaps his language was different, but I was comforted. They were talking to each other in broken Urdu, to which the woman nodded in affirmation and said that she wanted to use this telephone to inform her family, to which Sardarji pointed to a room and said that there is a telephone over there, and you go and inform your family. I immediately went to that room and dialed my home number on the telephone. My father had picked up the phone. There was a weakness in his voice. It seemed as if he was unwell. Tears came out of my eyes and I told him, "Father, I am talking to Nafisa, and I am absolutely fine. I had lost my way, but the people of a town helped me a lot." I had fainted. 2 days later, I regained consciousness. I immediately ran to contact you, to which my father thanked God, and after talking to Sardarji for some time, he hung up the phone. My father was satisfied. Father had told me that the university people had searched for me for 2 days, and when they did not find me, they had to return. Because they could not risk the lives of the other girls, no one knew where I had gone, so everyone was forced to return. But everyone was very worried. I had asked Abu to inform the university that I was completely fine and would be back soon. After being unconscious for 2 days, I was very weak, so I was not able to travel. Abu also used to call me in the morning and evening, and I used to go to Sardarji's house and talk to Abu. Abu was satisfied that these are good people, including me. Abu said that they would come to pick me up, but how could Abu come so far? His own health was also not good, so I had reassured Abu, and the day I decided to return, Gulpari and her mother insisted that she was getting married in a few days. I stopped at their insistence because I was very impressed by their hospitality. They were used to eating simple food, but ever since I had come to live in their house, something good was being prepared that was made just for me. I would have been embarrassed to see that. But even when I insisted, they would not stop and would make something special for me in all 3 meals. I was indebted to them. I had never even dreamed of the love and sincerity they had given me. I was grateful to them in every way, so I could not refuse their words. When I agreed to attend the wedding, a smile came to Gulpari's face, and she also spoke broken Urdu. Gulpari was beautiful, and whenever the subject of her marriage came up, her face would turn red. She was very happy about her marriage, but she was worried and stressed by some of the rituals, including the ritual of applying oil. An old woman would come and take Gulpari inside the room. When someone from outside asked about Gulpari, they would say that the ritual of applying oil was being done. Then, by chance, when I heard the girls talking, I couldn't believe my ears. If Gulpari had to apply oil, she could have applied it herself. This oil was applied so that the girl would not feel any pain during the first night of intercourse. I was surprised by this, but I felt something was wrong. I felt as if something else was happening behind the monkey door. When I peeked in through the window to find out this secret, my eyes lit up because the old woman was vigorously applying that oil to Gulpari's entire body, from her navel to her legs. Gulpari was lying in front of me without any clothes on, and the old woman's hands were moving all over her body. There was a strange devilishness in the old woman's eyes, while helplessness was clearly visible on Gulpari's face. The actions of this old woman were also very shameful. I felt like calling Gulpari's mother and showing her the whole truth, but then I fell silent. This was the last day of Gulpari's ritual, and the next day was her wedding. I had been sitting with Gulpari since morning. I was also feeling sad thinking about her wedding, although I also had to leave here. Gulpari was also crying. No matter where in the world someone belongs to, but everyone's emotions are the same. Daughters feel the same pain and sorrow while leaving their parents' house. Gulpari was also going through the same pain at that time, but she could not say anything to anyone. After some time, Gulpari and the groom performed the ritual of putting rings on each other, and while putting a garland of flowers around each other's necks. Both of their heads were tied together for some time, and then, after that, their names were linked to each other forever. Those people took Gulpari away with them, so Gulpari's mother started shedding tears. She had 4 sons and only 1 daughter, and today she had also stopped calling, so it was natural to call. In the evening, when Gulpari's mother had finished all the work, I went and sat next to her. She hugged me lovingly. I asked her if I could ask her something. "If you don't mind," she said. "Sure, you can ask." I asked her why Gulpari was taken inside every day, stripped naked and oiled. She told me that it was olive oil, and it was applied to women so that they wouldn't feel pain. Olive oil is very important, but it doesn't stop the pain, but it gives a person strength, which is why they can tolerate the pain. In today's era, girls are afraid of marriage, so they are told that by applying this oil, they won't feel any pain, whereas this oil only helps them tolerate the pain. I was surprised to hear Gulpari's mother say this. I had never heard anything like this before, but if these people had been doing this for centuries, then she must have been telling the truth. The next day, I packed my things, met Gulpari's mother, and left her village. Now that my stay here was over, I had to return home.